there was a map of happiness energy.
Welcome to the Joy First Foundation podcast. This is where we discuss what it's like to give a joyful moment, how you can give joyful moments. Hi, Jim Bob.
Hey, Katie B, how you been?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, I haven't seen you in like 15 minutes.
I know. Isn't that great? I love that we get to do Laugh Box together. But this right now is about Joy First coming to you in West Virginia, Jim Bob.
Yep, and I will never forget the day.
Right. So let's start with my arrival, the Joy First arrival. What was that like for you? The van in the driveway, all of that.
Where to begin? Okay. First, it begins with the knowledge that, hey, Katie B is coming our way. Okay. All right. And I was like, oh, we're getting ready to fix up the guest room and, straighten up everything inside the house. And he said, no, don't do that. I got a van. I just need a place where I can hook up the van for electricity. And, and I'm good. And so, okay, never had a house guest like that before. Okay. So I did sweep out the garage and
the minimal things.
Okay. And and then the Tour of Joy van came through. And of course, I had seen it in Mesa, so I was knew what to expect there. And I just said, all right, that's it. Katie came in an unusual weekend because it was the weekend of the West Virginia Book Festival. And well, I have a very close relation who was going through some hard stuff, and it had been very difficult trying to get them to engage in conversation. But we have a tradition. We go to Golden Corral, and so I said, let's go to Golden Corral. Let's see what happens. I didn't know. I did not. I didn't provide you any background information at all, did I?
No.
I really don't think it would have mattered either.
No. So what I do is I take the information that I have, and I knew sort of the age of the person. I know this one song that I have works very, very, very well. And I'm able to learn things on the fly and add lyrics to that song on the fly, which also has been working very, very well. And so this was an impromptu, joyful moment that I planned for probably 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And we were in Golden Corral. And this is your first real in-person view of a joyful moment, right?
Right. Now, I'd seen you on video, with, Kathy Grippy and Olivia Vo, and, of course, AATH conferences and things like that. So I knew in general what you were capable of, but I'd never seen it. And for those of you who don't know what Golden Corral is an all-you-can-eat buffet, and it's usually filled with people that are there to consume large quantities of food and not much else. All right. And the servers, their job is to make sure that the plates are changed and the glasses are filled. They don't do a lot of interaction with the customers. They're not trying to upsell you because you bought everything that you're going to buy when you come through the front of the store. Okay. They're just there to make sure that you get fed as fast as you can, and that they clean up after you so that the next wave can come in. So it's, but it's a cafeteria style thing. Yeah? So there we are sitting. We had got our food, and Katie decides to, do a musical number, sing a song, just a riff off the situation. Making up lyrics on the spot. I think, pardon my imprecision in theatrical history, but Commedia dell'arte, right? They come to town. They have a general idea of what the show's going to be, but they use the names of people in the town. They use things that are important to the town to fill out the details, and that's what you were doing.
Yes.
That's what you're doing. And it brought a huge smile to an um, otherwise down relation that I had there. And it's funny because yesterday my wife and I went with the same person to Golden Corral.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And it was a very different experience.
Oh.
Okay. Didn't have that element of joy. Okay. Uh, they stayed very withdrawn.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Uh, uh, they did ask where you were.
That's funny.
uh, and it was so. My wife did try to add a little element of silliness to it. She brought a necklace that lights up. Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
And she was like lighting up and flashing there. And the server noticed it, and well, I had a nice interaction with my wife there. Uh, but the relation there didn't respond. So again, in terms of we have we have a control experience, you know, without the joy first experience,
Yes.
and then we
Yeah.
have the experience with the joy first experience. The joy first experience was uh, much more memorable, brightened the day not only for my relation, but for the next table, which had some small children in it. I think there's a little balloon action in there.
There was, yeah.
And the servers liked it there. And it made if there was a map of happiness energy, okay, and let's say the baseline for the Golden Corral was a brown, okay, there would be these bright yellow spots around the table where Katie was, okay, and that area of influence would have extended over to the next table, and there might be a little yellow dot that would follow the server as she went back to the kitchen and told her friends, you know, wait till you see what's happening on table 8.
Right. Yeah, because the next question is, let's talk about that ripple effect. And that's what you're talking about. Is I was interacting with your relation and watching him shift to a higher state, to a happier place. Meanwhile, the tables around us, which you might have witnessed more than I did because I was focused, something happened there. And then, yeah, making balloon animals and giving little joys to all the staff that I could, right? And kind of checking and seeing where I could have another effect did make a difference. It created this ripple effect beyond where we were. And do you want to say more about that?
I come from an engineering background, and I'd like to do a diffusion. I think you could do a model of it, and the model of it would be diffusion. If you ever take like a drop of dye and put it in a water and you watch it spread, that's the kind of moment that it was there.
Oh, lovely.
It seems like the joy wants to go from its source to reach out and find somebody that needs it, so it spreads.
Yeah.
And, now, in mathematical terms, there's a parameter called diffusivity, which relates how fast something will dissipate. If you put a drop in water, it will spread relatively rapidly. If you put a drop of dye in, say, mineral oil or something, it may not spread as fast because they have a different diffusivity coefficient.
Love it.
So I'd like to, there really should be a way to mathematically model this.
Actually, that's one of the questions I had for Kathy is, do you think we can quantify that? And I think you might be the perfect person to help us solve that question.
We have to be able to design an experiment, or that I think one way to do that possibly is if we had microphones spread out in a room and just see if we can measure how fast it takes the buzz to.
I love it. Yeah. Well, think about how to do that. That's a great idea. Yeah, and I want to just say the ripple effect is also in time, because what you're telling me is yesterday, which is months later from my being there, your relation still remembers it, is still affected by it. And I mean, he was affected by it the next day, that evening, you were telling me as you communicated with them that they were telling you things, more information. I think we were all in the car and there was a phone conversation and there was another comment about it there. So that ripple effect, I think the key with that relation and the fact that he can get pretty down is finding the tools to help lift him up, which one of them we talked about was a specific genre or time period of music that seemed to make a difference for him.
And I found something else that seems to work.
Oh, yeah.
That was, we were having a long drive together. And I said, well, let's try a Jim Gaffigan, comedy routine. And through the miracle of Amazon Prime, downloaded an album and played it. And I was spending my time on the road, concentrating on driving, so I wasn't looking at. But by the time we pulled into their subdivision, okay, I could hear the visibly laughed. I could hear the laughter, and I could just sense the mood had lifted. So, music and laughter are proven ways to
Yes.
change somebody's mood and change somebody's outlook. And so I'll be using more of that.
Yeah. Well, so then would you
If
recommend?
I'm too busy to drive to entertain, well, I can
Oh.
download somebody to do the entertainment for me.
Yes. In fact, one of my favorite podcasts for group laughter that's totally contagious is Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
Oh, yeah.
He has a team of laughers. And so if I'm driving and I'm listening to that, I get this contagious desire to laugh often because it's big and wide, So how has joy first affected you?
Well, it's affected me because it's reaffirmed some of my faith in humanity in a way. Okay? Because through kindness you can have a beneficial impact on others, and this is something that I have known and for a long time, applied for a long time. But there's still times I get in my own head and I worry about issues that I'm facing, and so I will go into engineer high efficiency mode. I go into the store, I get my items, I look for the self checkout. I get out of there, and hooray for me because I've been so efficient. And sometimes it's made me say, today I'm going to go in the checkout line, and I'm going to kibitz with the clerk.
Nice.
Or if I'm going through it, and if I see somebody that's just working, stocking shelves, just go in them and ask them how theirs. And I'll give you another example of how recognition helps your day.
Okay.
Because I do Read Aloud, which is a program where I go in and I read stories to a second grade class.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I do that once a week during the school year. I have a good time. The kids have a good time. Wednesday, we had our last Read Aloud for the year. Oh. So I have to go on summer break.
Oh.
Saturday, walking in the grocery store, I turn the corner and there's a little girl, and she looks up at me and she goes, "You're Mr. Williams." I go, "That's right." And I recognized her. And she goes, "Yeah, you're my Read Aloud reader." And I go, "That's right." And then, so her father was next to her, and he looked at me kind of side eye, who's this, who's this stranger in the supermarket? But I introduced myself. And then her mom came over, and they were both happy because this little girl, she appreciated the attention that I gave her class when I read, and I appreciated the attention, and it also made a trip to Kroger more memorable for both of us.
Yes.
Yeah. So it could have been another boring errand, became a moment of joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't have to do any preparation for it.
Right.
Didn't cost me any money. Okay.
Yeah.
I might have been in the store 30 seconds longer than I had planned, which as an engineer kills me.
So I know that. So,
This time I'm kidding. Yeah.
in this context, I guess I would say, what does joy mean to you?
Joy means sharing a moment of happiness. So it's especially in the sharing part of it. We've uplifted each other in that moment. That's man, you can have joy all by yourself. You can, a song comes along that you like, or TV show, podcast, whatever, and that can bring you joy personally.
Yes.
But that's different from the joy you get when you interact with other people. And there's a
Agreed.
joy. Also a particular type of joy that comes from recognition.
Yeah.
I, I think maybe that's why, why people go back for high school reunions and conventions and whatnot. So they're going back with people that they've had a good time with.
Mm.
And let's see, what's the Rod Martin matrix there? That would be a group enhancing humor.
Yes.
Finding humor in being together, and group affiliative humor. That's it.
Yes. And would you recommend joy first to others on a scale from 1 to 10? 10 being the best, 1 being the worst.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you my universal answer.
Okay.
Is it depends. That if you really enjoy being miserable and withdraw, then you should stay away from joy. And no. But if you are, I would say that perhaps well over 98%, 99% of people fall this way, that people want, need, and appreciate joy. Okay. And so if you can have a joy first experience with them, do it by any means there. And do it, at your earliest possible convenience.
Would you?
You can go to the YouTube page,
Right.
or the Joy First page, and you can get ideas from the video of what to do. I don't have my bag with me, but I have a bag that I take to the various classes that I teach, and in that bag are rubber noses. I've just got my Red Nose Day supply restocked up.
Oh, nice. It's that time of year. I got these. But you're right. It's time to go to Walgreens. Yep. Because each red nose supports a homeless, hungry child. And they're like $1 a piece. And I usually buy 20 or 30 this time of year and then hand them out throughout the year. And then I have foam noses for the backup.
That's right.
For
you do need your emergency backup foam nose.
That's right.
But I can't wait to fill up my taxes and take a deduction for red noses.
That's right. Yeah.
But I also carry a rubber chicken with me.
Nice.
And I gave a talk at the library. They asked me to talk about humor. And the first thing I did is I brought the rubber chicken and I squeezed it. Okay. And I said, this is the only time I'll ever be allowed to do this in a library.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
So there's little ways to bring joy. And you are the paradigm. You are the, you're clearing the forest, as it were, allowing other people to know that you can be silly for a good cause.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And more and more, I think we realize that even just giving somebody a compliment at the checkout line is more than what people are getting right now. Yeah. And so even that simple act of just talking to the person who happens to be helping you, doing whatever you're doing during the day, giving a compliment and recognizing that they're there to help you is 10 times more than what they're getting on a daily basis. And they need it because they're telling us that. Yes.
Here's something I found as a supervisor.
Yeah.
Number one is that people constantly underestimate the talent that they have. Okay. They might be able to do something more rapidly, more efficiently, better, something like, like wrapping a package. Okay. Yeah. You go to a store, they gift wrap it for you. I always appreciate that because I'm terrible. Okay. And when I compliment them on it, they like that. And And they go, oh, it's no big deal. It's just something that I'm good at. Well, it's probably something that they worked real hard at one time to get that level of expertise. Yeah. And now in their job, well, they're expected to do it.
Right.
And they don't realize how special it is.
Mm.
So that thing. And and people want recognition, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't get recognition enough for the things that they're doing well. And everybody is doing something better than you.
Mm.
Or they know something that you don't know.
That's right.
And if you listen to them, you'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll share that knowledge with you, and hey, you're better off. They're better off. What's the old improv rule? Make your partner look good. Give them
Yes.
an opportunity to shine and look good, and
Yes.
then you'll get that opportunity back.
Yes. So as an engineer, as someone who worked in waste management, dealing with uh maybe some town things, individuals living in towns, what would be 6 questions to ask the town to help narrow down what would make the town happier?
Okay, that's interesting that you're asking this. Okay, a couple of levels. One, because the world is trying to find happiness, uh, and actually governments like Norway and Japan are investing a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
to see what happens and what works. So off the top of my head, you could simply start with what about the town makes you happy as
Mm.
is. What would make you happier?
Mm. That's great. That's a lot really fast. I wasn't sure if
Okay.
6 was going to
Okay.
be a good number.
Okay. Third thing, what do you do well?
Mm. Oh, that's a great question.
Because you might find that I play the guitar a little. Oh, you might be able to go to senior center and play guitar
Right.
for them. Okay.
Yeah.
I hear kids. Oh, really? But maybe I'd also ask what's holding them back from participating in the community. Maybe it's an economic thing. They have to work 2 shifts. Or they go from their job and they're going home and they're caring for someone, and that can lead to a discussion of, okay, what if they had we're looking for things of what the town should be doing.
Yeah.
You know, like what if there was better daycare available? What if there was better senior care available? What are 3 things that would make this town happier?
Yeah.
Just say, and it doesn't have to be big. And then you take those. Yeah, and guess what? You ask 100 people, they're all right. Okay,
Yeah. Right.
but you
Yep.
look at the data and say, well, what's trending here?
Mm-hmm.
If the trending, if people are complaining, well, gee, the only place they can buy groceries, they have to go a 45-minute drive to a Walmart.
Right.
Yeah. So then maybe the town should be looking at, what incentives could they give for somebody to open up a small grocery
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
closer to that? You're identifying niches that people can fill.
Yes.
Okay,
Ooh.
my little town, St. Albans, West Virginia, the coffee shop, Cold River Coffee, where we do open mics sometimes there. The owner there, he and his wife, they had worked in Starbucks and they had seen coffee shops, and they said,
Uh,
but they wanted to be back in their hometown, closer to family. So they bought a coffee shop. Actually, they bought a store. They converted it into a coffee shop. There had been an attempt. Actually, there had been several attempts to have coffee shops in town before, but what they have done is, the coffee shop has become a hub of communication,
uh-huh.
and that's okay. You walk into the store. If you go there, it opens up about 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
If you sit there at 7 o'clock in the morning, okay, you'll see police officer come through, firefighter come through, and they're coffee. And there's one guy from the city council who he always has his morning coffee there. and he hangs out and he shouts out at everybody that recognizes. Okay, so so when they come, they may be coming in for a cup of coffee. They really may need that 120 milligrams of caffeine or whatnot. That may be their physiological need,
Right.
but they also need to be recognized. Hey, I'm part of the town, I'm part of the community. There's somebody here who's going to recognize me, even if they're going to give me a hard time.
Right.
Because sometimes that's part of showing love. And
Yes.
they can, to use business jargon, the value proposition.
Love it.
They can go, they can go get a drive-through coffee at McDonald's.
Yes.
But if they want to have an experience, they come into the coffee shop.
Yes.
And as the day goes by, you see different things happen in that coffee shop. Yeah, like a little group will come in. There's a book club that comes in and has a discussion. There might be a Bible study group from a church that comes in, and they'll have they take over some tables for a while. You have the insurance salesman buying, coffees for their prospects or whatnot. But again, it's different hubs. You see different things happening.
Yeah.
You also have a used bookstore as part of the coffee shop.
Okay. Oh, great.
That's part of a network of used book kiosks that a guy, Joe Solomon, runs. Actually, you'd really like Joe.
Yeah.
He studied clowning and improv.
Oh, nice.
Now he's a community activist.
But for this audience who doesn't know, Jim Bob and I co-host the Laugh Box podcast for the Association of Applied and Therapeutic Humor. Just making that clear so that when we talk about interviewing somebody for that podcast, we get excited because they're healing with humor. And that's our goal, is to talk to people that are doing that. So head over to laughbox.aath.org if you'd like to hear that podcast. And I have one more question for you that I haven't really asked anybody else. Okay. But I'm curious what your take on it is, because I do know that you are a spiritual person, and so am I. And I want to say slightly different, but probably not. You know what I mean? I'm in the earth spirituality, and some of the positive psychology, and I believe all of it's tied together. And but do you believe that in this Joy First, and they bring these moments, that it's possible that and I'm going to say one more thing about it, energy field of your heart is actually 3 feet in front of you. And so I believe that when I'm having this one-on-one joyful moment, that our hearts are meeting in this place in between, like a foot and a half in front of each of us, and that we're having this electromagnetic experience, which is part of the reciprocity that comes from these joyful moments. But my question for you is, do you think in those moments that it's possible that spirit, source, whatever the word is that someone would like to use, speaks through us?
I'll go to Proverbs 17:22, which is one of my favorite verses. A merry heart does good like a medicine.
Yes.
But a dry spirit crushes the bones.
Oh,
when
yes.
somebody is happy, it's connections are made. It spreads. It's infectious in a good way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There. So that. Okay. Now, in terms of how that works, and how much of it is electromagnetism, and how much of it is, I believe there is a spiritual bond. One way to build connections is to be welcoming.
Yeah. And I want to say that the whole having something beyond us speak through us. I believe that there are times when we really need an answer to something. Someone, a stranger, someone out of the blue, will suddenly say the thing that we needed to hear. And they don't know why they said it. We don't know why we heard it. And those are the kinds of things I'm playing with here a little bit.
Okay, of course, I wouldn't be a card-carrying Presbyterian if I didn't say that. Romans 8:28, all things work to the good, and that there's a purpose. I should say that there are no coincidences. In the universe. Okay, things happen for a reason. Act 17, God lays out the lines of our habitation. So certain things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything happens because of the cause, and you got to follow that. Where am I going with this? The main thing I would like is where joy first intersects with this.
Hmm.
Okay, and something it's clearing a space to have the
Yes.
conversation. If you can
Yes.
share that, yeah, that okay, two people coming together, and yeah, you've got different political, different religious, different sociological, all
Yes.
kinds. Yeah, there's 151 reasons why you could choose not to interact with somebody.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And sometimes you do that because it shields up. You're trying to protect yourself from harm. If you let that shield down for a minute, and might find, you're going to find an ally. You're going to find someone that can appreciate that. You wouldn't have if you. Again, I always my favorite shtick is on Venn diagrams and how they look like that.
Yes.
I mean, you can draw your own personal Venn diagrams so that you only allow yourself to intersect with people that meet your political or social. You can set that
Comfort zone. We'll call it a comfort zone.
yeah. Those you can filter your relationships that way.
Hmm.
Which is what we do on social media largely. We create our own echo chamber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody says something we don't like, well, we mute them, we block them, we unfriend them. They're harsh on our vibe. But I want to give you the presentation. They said all that may be true, but they also may bring something to the table that you need.
Yes.
So don't shut them off all the time.
Right.
At least open the door for a little bit each day, and you might be surprised how much good comes there.
Agreed. Yeah. And as much as Joy First is not a spiritual organization, I happen to be I have my own spiritual views, but this does not exist because of anything spiritual. This organization exists because of the division happening where people can't talk to each other. And the first word of Joy First in its inception is connection, regardless of those 100 million things and reasons that we could not talk to each other, that we choose to talk to each other. So anything else about you, or any last statements about your experience with Joy First in your front yard?
Well, it was a rush. Okay. I look forward to more.
Good.
I look forward to applying this,
Yes.
and I need to, for the particular relation we talked about earlier, I need to find more ways to, to interact with them, to bring joy in there. And
yeah, and we can work on that. And I'm going to be creating a course. There are things down the road. This podcast is another way to be able to talk to people that have had the experience and get that out there. So if you were to say something, I just want to share that there's a bookmark to this meeting that we're having right now, which is a hummingbird before we met right in my face, and a hummingbird right out my window as we're talking right now. just hovering.
Did I tell you about Moo?
No.
My son was living, sharing a house with a friend of his, and his friend has this German Shepherd mix named Moo. Okay. Moo from the Buddhist
yes,
principle of emptiness. Okay.
Yes. It's a Zen breathing thing, mantra too. So means nothingness, actually.
Yeah. So one day Moo is really upset, barking like crazy, and they don't know why. They let Moo out there, and apparently there were some cats that were picking on a hummingbird. This hummingbird had damaged its wing. The cats were on it, but when Moo came along and scared the cats away.
Yes.
And then stood next to the bird. So my son and his friends go, "What are we going to do?" Yeah. They took the hummingbird in. Okay. They fed it sugar water. They did everything they could to do that, and it was touch and go for a day or so. But then gradually, the bird. So apparently, this bird looked like a baby that had fallen out of its nest.
Okay.
Okay, and
Yeah.
it couldn't fly for a long time, and it recovered. Finally, it recovered to the point where it was flying around their house. Got to let the bird go now. And so
Yeah.
they told Boo, they told Moo it's time to say goodbye to the bird. They opened up the front door. The hummingbird flew out of the door, then it flew back in, okay, as if to acknowledge and say thank you. Okay.
Nice.
And then went off into the wild.
Wow.
Yeah. So since then, hummingbirds have always been special.
Yeah. Yeah. They're beautiful. Yes.
And I don't think the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service would recommend taking in a wild animal.
No,
But
no. Oh, no. Yeah. Little,
kids, don't do this at home. But
yes. Yeah. 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 Good.
but they did it, and it wouldn't have happened without a German Shepherd mix. So.
Right. Nice. Well, I want to say thanks, Jim Bob, for revisiting this experience with me. It was lovely to be with you and to meet your wife, and for these Joy First moments where I pop in for 48 hours and have some joyful moments and pop out. It's always lovely to sort of get a window into people's lives and just see how lovely everybody is as we're all flying around on this planet together. So thanks. And yeah, I do hope we get to do it again. I do want to have trainings where I'm able to share with people how to cautiously approach strangers and give something that we all need. I suppose the last question is, do you believe that everyone needs a moment of joy?
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate what you're doing and what Joy First is doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Joy First Foundation podcast. My name is Kate McGlynn, aka Katie B, and I am on the tour of joy. There will be more and more joy. Have a great day. Have a joyful day. And don't forget to spread kindness everywhere you go.